Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We have been considering the Prakrti Parinama, and we considered the Vishesha, Avishesha, Linga Matra, a-Linga Parvas as specified in Patanjali's Sutra. Therein, the Alinga Parva is something that has unique characteristics. Between Alinga Parva and the rest of the three, basic difference is, for the Alinga Parva, na asau purusharthata kruta. There is no purusharthata, there is no purushartha in the Alinga Parva. And Alinga onward, the Linga Matra, Avishesha, Vishesha, they are all Purushartha Kruta. Now this is a point that needs to be noted. Otherwise, usually there is a blanket statement that the Prakriti is Purushartha Hetutvata. There is Purushartha behind Prakriti. And in the Sutra, Prakasha Kriya Sthiti Sheelam Bhute Driyatpakam Bhoga Apavargartham Drusham. So there we get an impression that the Prakriti is for Purushartha. And that's a blanket statement. It is therefore Patanjali in that 2.18 has used Drushya for Prakriti and Drashtra Drushya Samyoga as Heya Hetu, and not Prakriti Purusha Hetu, Prakriti Purusha Samyoga. Although it implies that he expressly mentions Drashtru Dushyoho Sanyogaha Heya Hetu, and doesn't make a blanket statement that Prakriti Purusha Samyogaha Heya Hetu. Although he means by Drushya the Prakriti, he doesn't use the word Drushya, Prakriti for Drushya. Because the Drushya means actually Linga Matra, Avishesha and Vishesha Parvas. Because they have Purusharthata. The Purushartha Hetu is there in the three Parvas, but not in the fourth Parva. So that is a unique thing that is to be noted. So Bhashyakara clearly says, Na tasya purusharthata karanam bhavati. So Alinga Parva is Gunasamyavastha. And Gunasamyavastha has no Purushartha. Or Gunasamyavastha doesn't come because of Purushartha. There is neither Purushartha behind it, nor there is Purushartha for it. Now that is the unique thing which should be taken note of. So, Alinga has been described as Nisatta Sattam, Nirasad, and Alinga, etc., which we saw in the last session. Now, important point to be noted that Alinga Parva doesn't have Purusharthata, nor it is caused by Purusharthata. Now, it is caused during Pralaya. When the Srushti is not there, it is Gunasamyavastha. When it is Gunasamyavastha, it is equilibrium of three gunas. When it is equilibrium of three gunas, it is Neuminal. And when it is being Neuminal, it is called Alinga Parva. So, na asau purusharthata kruta iti nitya akhyayate. So even in Kaivalya, when there is disjunction between Prakriti and Purusha, precisely Drashta and Drushya, and therefore Krutartham Pratinashtam is also mentioned, that in case of a liberated yogi, the Prakriti is terminated. Now it should be understood the Prakriti is not terminated. Alinga onward, the Linga Matra onward phases are no longer there. Because for Alinga Avastha there is neither Purushartha prior to that nor Purushartha thereafter. So therefore Alinga Parva is said to be Nitya. It is not subjected to destruction. Krutartham pratinashtam api anashtam ananya sadharanatvat. That's a beautiful sutra. Api anashtam, yet not destroyed. That is clearly telling us that Alinga Parva is something which is never ever destroyed. It seems to be destroyed in relation to person who is liberated, yogi who is liberated, having attained Kaivalya. And therefore it is Nitya Tattvam. And therefore Vyasa clearly says, Na aso purusharthata krata iti nitya akhyayate. It is Nitya. Like Purusha Tattva is Nitya, Alinga Tattva is Nitya. So, it is ever existing. So there is never ever latency to this Alingam. So from Alingam, when there is onwards Parinama, that Parinama is beautifully described as not like Dugdha-dahivat Parinama, but Samudraphenavat Parinama. What is this? Dugdha-dahivat Parinama means the milk transformed into curds or yogurt. That is called Dugdha-dahi Parinama. So it is not a Parinama like that. The Parinama is of the nature of Samudraphenavat, the ocean and the foam. The foam will come and go, but the ocean doesn't come and go. Our ocean is constant, but the foam will come, appear and disappear, appear and disappear. So that is the kind of Parinama called Samudraphenavat Parinama. So when Alinga transforms into Linga Matram, it is Samudraphenavat and not Dugdha-dahivat. So this is also a point to be noted by the students of Metaphysics of Patanjali. So again, as I quoted, Patanjali now clearly mentions Trayanam tu avastha visheshanam adau purusharthata karanam bhavati. So what just now we said, that Linga Matra, Avishesha and Vishesha, these are three Parinamas or three phases. Trayanam tu avastha visheshanam adau purusharthata karanam bhavati. So behind Alinga becoming Linga Matra becoming Avishesha, Avishesha becoming Vishesha, there is Purusharthata Hetu, but not for Alinga Parva. The Gunasamyavastha will neither having any endowment of the form of Purusharthata. It will neither serve the purpose nor it comes as a purpose. And that is why it is Nitya Tattvam. So Bhashyakar has made it clear, and this is usually not cited in describing the Sankhya metaphysics. So, the Linga Parva, Vishesha Parva, Adau, before them, they are for Purushartha. So, before them there will be Purusharthata. The Prakriti goes into these mutations for Purusharthata. Because there is Purusharthata Hetu, Linga Matra to Avishesha and Avishesha to Vishesha Paranamas will take place. So there is a Hetu and there is a purpose and there is a cause. And that cause is Purusharthata. While Alinga Parva doesn't have any Purusharthata, it is not because of Purushartha Hetu that there will be deluge and there will be pralaya, nor when it is on there is any Purushartha. So we have seen that the laya avastha or the deluge is for 4.32 billion years. Out of 8.64 billion years of day of Brahma, half of it is night. And at that time the creation is a nouminal phase. Now, being in nouminal phase, the gunas don't serve the purpose. Nor the laya appears because of Purusharthata, because it is scheduled to be happening. The sarga and the laya, the srushti and laya is part of universal cosmic phenomenon. So there is no Purusharthata for layavastha to appear, nor there is any Purusharthata during layavastha. This has been made clear by Vyasa in his commentary. So, with that, we have had a very primary understanding of Vishesha Parva, Avishesha Parva, Linga Matra Parva and Alinga Parva, which are mentioned in this Sutra 2.19. Now, I recall a verse from Vishnu Puranam 1.2.29. Prakrti Purushashchaiva Pravishyāmatmechaya Harihi Kshobhayamasaha Samprapte Sargakale Vyaya Vyaho. So Hari Bhagwan Narayana, by his own swecha, by his own will, and by being antaryami of Prakriti Purusha Tattvas, there is agitation in Prakriti for sarga, for creation to emanate. That's called kshobham. And on his own will, the creation gets enfolded. So that is called vyaya and avyaya. The srushti will come and go. Creation will come and go. It is because of the will of antaryami of Prakriti and Purusha. And Shatapada Brahmana of Krishna Yajurveda, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad part of it, in the Shatapada Brahmanam, there is Antaryami Brahmana, and it also mentions the same. that that principle, Brahma Tattvam or Sriman Narayana, is indweller, informer, internal regulator of even Prakriti and not only Purusha. So that is beautifully described in Antaryami Brahman of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So also I recall Bhagavad Gita, which I had quoted earlier, Mayadhyakshena Prakritihi Suyate Sacharacharam. Mayadhyakshena Prakritihi Suyate. The Prakriti will deliver the creation under his presidency. And the creation will be Charachara. Charachara Srushti, that is living, non-living creation, will be because of Prakriti delivering the creation under the presidency of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. So that is how we have tried to understand the Prakriti described in Yoga Sutras. And the Prakriti that Patanjali and Sankhya is mentioning has support in the Shrutis. The concept of Prakriti, the concept of Maya of Upanishads is all referring to this, what we have discussed so far. So it has a testimony from Shrutis. It has testimonies from Shastras. Shruti, Shruti, Itihas, Purana. They all have endorsed with the concept of Prakriti, which is the material cause of entire creation. Upadana Bhuta. The Prakriti is Upadana Bhuta, even according to Upanishads, and it prominently appears in Upanishad called Shvetashvatar Upanishad. The Antaryami Brahman of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also endorses with it. The Chandogya Shruti also endorses with such an idea. So this Sankhya can be traced even in Upanishads. In Chandogya Upanishad you get that beautiful analogy of Mrittika and Mritghata. So the Mrittika, the sand, is material cause of pot. And similarly, the Prakriti is the material cause of the universe. In Brahmakaranavada of Vedanta, where they use the Chandogya Shruti and the analogy just now mentioned, the metaphor just now mentioned, that there is only different nomenclatures coming, it is all Mrittika. It can be Mritpinda, it can be Mritghata, it can be a pot or anything made up of clay. The clay is material cause. And this is what Chandogya Upanishad mentions. The Chandogya Shruti says, Yatha saumyakena mritpindena sarvam mrunmayam vignatagam sasyad vacharambhadam vikaro namadheyam mrittiketyeva satyam. So many things can come out of clay, which is nothing but sand, which is mrittika. Like mritpinda can be given different shapes, like china clay. You can give different shapes to this clay, which is mritpindam, and it will get therefore different nomenclatures. What is true there is that it is mrittika. Others are only forms which will come and go. Like in case of metal like gold, the gold metal can become bangles, necklace, bracelet, ring, pot, glass. It can take any shape. But what is truth is not those forms. The truth is that it is gold. So this example comes in Vedanta. And that is what this Prakriti is, creative cause. That it gives all manifestation gross to subtle, which come and go, which appear and disappear. So that's how the Prakriti is also mentioned in our Shastras. And Prakriti, as mentioned in the Upanishads, it mentions that there is an indweller, internal ruler, informer, antaryami, and that antaryami is sarvasya vashi, sarvasya eshan, sarvasya adhipati. This is the mention of Bruhadaratmaka Upanishad. So also I recall a statement from Subala Upanishad in the 7th chapter of it. Eko divya devo eko narayana. He is antaryami shasta. The Mahabharata in the Vishnu Sahasranama part is also says Jagat Prabhu Deva Devam Anantam Purushottamam. So the Narayana or Antaryami or Brahma Tattva is said to be the indweller. Very expressly in the Sankhya that appears in Upanishads. And that is called as Seshwar Sankhya. Patanjali is also endorsing with this concept by mentioning Ishwar as Purusha Vishesha. Purusha Vishesha means not just special kind of Purusha or special kind of being, but the being which is antaryami to Anu, Renu, Parmanu, Prakriti. He is antaryami to everything. Even Prakriti antaryami is Purusha. This Purushottama Ishvara. Therefore, Patanjali describes him as Purusha Vishesha. This Sankhya of 24 principles has come in Bhagavad Gita in description of Ashtadha Prakriti in chapter 7, 7.4. Bhagwan says, Bhumirapo nalo vayu kham mano buddhi evacha ahankara iti me ayam me bhinna prakriti ashtadha. So, Bhagavad Gita has unique concept of Ashtadha Prakriti, that is eightfold Prakriti, while Sankhya emphatically mentions 24 principles. And this Ashtadha Prakriti is also circumscribing all the 24 principles. So if you open out the factor of 8, it will become 24. And Ashtadha Prakriti becomes Prakriti of Chaturvimshati Tattvas. Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, Kham of Bhagavad Gita stand for 5 Sthula Bhutas and Sukshma Bhutas, 5 Mahabhutas, 5 Tanmatra. That means 10 principles are circumscribed in the part Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, Kham of that verse in Bhagavad Gita 7.4. So 10 principles are circumscribed. Then, what about the rest 14, because 14 plus 10 is going to become 24. So let's try to identify the 14 veiled in the rest of the part of the verse. The other part of the verse says, Mano buddhir evacha ahankara iti. Mano buddhi ahankara. That means manasendriya, buddhendriya and ahankarendriya. These are mentioning 14 indriyas. So let's try to understand. They are mentioning actually 3 plus 11. What are 3? 3 is mano buddhi ahankaram. So we have accounted for 10. Now 10 plus 3 now becomes 13. Now the remainder 11. How do we trace them? We trace them by the indriyas which are supporting manas, buddhi and ahankara. So they are ekadashendriyas. The ekadashendriyas are there to subserve the manobuddhi ahankara. The ekadasha indriyas are pancha karmendriyas, pancha jnanendriyas and one antarendriya. So it is also circumscribing these 11. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is mentioning 10 plus 3 plus 11 is the Ashtadha Prakriti. So these are brackets. One bracket is Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, Kham is one bracket which accounts for 10 principles. Mano, Buddhi, Ahankaram is a bracket which accounts for 3. So that means 10 plus 3. And each of these, Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, have their Indriyas backing up. And they are Ekadashendriya. So, the calculation is 10 plus 3 plus 11, which is factored into 8 Ashtadha Prakriti. So even Bhagavad Gita is actually implying the 24 principles in Ashtadha Prakriti. And this is called Apara Prakriti. And then in the next verse of Bhagavad Gita, he mentions the Para Prakriti. The Para Prakriti is the Jivatma. So Para Prakriti together accounts for the 25 principles of Sankhya and implies the Antaryami as the 26th Ishvara. So whether it's 24 principles Sankhya or 25 principles Sankhya or 26 principle of Sankhya, the Bhagavad Gita verse can be a support. So also elsewhere there is a Sankhya of 28 principles which you get in Mahabharata, that it mentions the Prakriti of 28 principles. How the 24, how they become 28? That the 25 principles, that is Prakriti Purusha together, and there they make that Mahat Tattva, the Prakriti Tattva into Sattva Rajatama. So Sattva Rajatama Gunas are also included, and then it becomes 28 principled Sankhya. So, there is no point in looking down upon Sankhya philosophy as it happens in post Brahma Sutra philosophy. The commentaries on Brahma Sutra of Badrayana, Sharirika Sutras of Sharirika Sutras of Badrayana, the commentaries are there, and these commentators have taken the Sankhya right and left and center and have tried to refute, debunk the Sankhya philosophy, which actually there is no need. The Sankhya that appears in Upanishads, appears in Bhagavad Gita, appears in Shastras such as Srimad Vishnu Puranam and Srimad Bhagavata Puranam, etc. Because this Sankhya was given by Kapila Muni, and the Kapila was avatar, one of the 24 avatars of Vishnu, mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita itself in the 10th chapter comes to mention that Bhagwan Sri Krishna is Kapila in all Mahamunis. Kapila was the propounder of Sankhya philosophy. Kapila was Vishnu avatar, one of the 24 avatars of Vishnu. He was one of the 24 avatars. And then Kapila was also, as described in Srimad Vishnu Puranam and Bhagavata Puranam, who advised Sankhya to his mother Devahuti. And this Kapila is also extolled in Upanishads. At the beginning of every creation, the wisdom also comes along with creation, and that wisdom is given by Kapila. So at the beginning of every kalpa, there will be Kapila avatar, and Kapila will be giving the Sankhya wisdom, which is actually wisdom coming from Sriman Narayana. So it is only Neo-Vedantis post Badrayana Brahma Sutra Mimamsa, the commentators, the Pashyakaras, have criticized and debunked the Sankhya point of view. But the Sankhya is a precept that has come in the Pancharatra itself, in Sri Vaikuntham. Because the Srimad Bhagavatam as traces the source of yoga in Hiranyagarbha, which is said to be a discourse given in the Sri Vaikuntham as a part of Pancharatram. Hiranyagarbha yogasya vaktana anyah puratanaha. It also mentions Kapila as the first Vakta of Sankhya. Sankhyasya Vakta Kapilaha. He is also mentioned in same part of Mahabharata. And that Kapila is Vishnu Avatara, and that Kapila is the one who takes birth at the beginning of every kalpa, which is mentioned in Shvetashatar Upanishad. One can look into Shvetashatar Upanishad and see the mention of Kapila, who comes with the creation and takes the responsibility of parting with the wisdom of Sankhya, which is said to be the wisdom for liberation. So, the point is, this Prakriti Purusha concept is not of Nirishwar Sankhyas. And as a matter of fact, the Nirishwar Sankhya is a label given by the Vedantins who wanted to refute, who placed themselves in counterposition of Vedanta of Badrayan, and therefore had no reservations in criticizing, refuting the Sankhya postulates. And for that, they said there is something called as Nirishwara Sankhya of Ishvara Krishna. And then their point of view was so strong that the Kapila Sutras of Sankhya, they declared it to be extinct. And the whole community believed that Sankhya Sutras are extinct, and we do not get Sankhya Sutras as we get Jaya Sutras, Vaisheshika Sutras, Yoga Sutras, Purva Mimamsa Sutras, Uttara Mimamsa Sutras. We do not get Sankhya Sutra because of the idea given that it is extinct. And then what is the oldest text of Sankhya according to them is Sankhya Karika of Ishvara Krishna. And in Ishvara Krishna they find some kind of material to attack, because it doesn't mention Ishvara in his text. Nor does he mention Ishvara for the creation process in the universe, in the cosmology of universe. But there is a different reason why Ishvara Krishna has done it. But then they started branding something as, or labeling something as atheistic Sankhya, Nirishwara Sankhya, and the text ascribed to such Sankhya was Ishvara Krishna's Sankhya Karika. But Kapila Sankhya is accepted to be Seshwar Sankhya by them. As a matter of fact, this classification came later. Seshwar Nirishwar Sankhya classification came later, well after Mahabharata. Not even in Mahabharata you have mention of this. Mahabharata mentions the Sankhya of 24, Sankhya of 25, Sankhya of 26 and Sankhya of 28. But let's try to understand how the Sankhyas who are labeled as Nirishwara Sankhyas are not actually and cannot be atheistic Sankhyas. That tag has been attached to them. So we are going to discuss this. For that matter, we are going to take the precept of Adi-bhutic, Adi-dahivat, Adhyatmic concepts, the idea of the Adi-bhutic, Adhyatmic, Adi-dahivat aspects which are there in Vedic philosophy. All the philosophies which are Vedic philosophies do admit of Adi-bhutic, Adi-dahivat, Adhyatmic. Sankhya Patanjalas too believed in it. Even Ishwar Krishna Sankhya believed in it, because he definitely admitted Trivida Dukkha concept, threefold Dukkha, and the threefold Dukkha is nothing but Adi-dahivat, Adhyatmic, Adi-bhutic. Now it is not possible to be atheistic philosopher by not accepting Adi-bhutic, Adi-dahivat, Adhyatmic concepts. If these are accepted, then the system invariably becomes theistic and cannot be atheistic. So even the Sankhya of Ishvara Krishna definitely admits and accepts and endorses. That is the Adhyatmic tradition of the entire Vedic civilization, Vedic philosophy, Vedic culture. So the philosophies and culture of Vedism is soaked into Adi-bhutic, Adi-dahivat, Adhyatmic. And when it is soaked into it, there is no way to say something is atheistic. So we are trying to understand the whole creation from this perspective of Adi-bhutic, Adi-dahivat, Adhyatmic. Now this is to be understood as The substratum is Adhyatmic in creation. The constitution is Adi-dahivat and manifestation is Adi-bhutic. Insofar as the inert creation is mentioned or concerned. What we call as elemental creation or bhutic srushti, where you have rivers and mountains and oceans and what planets and stars and etc., which we call as non-living, The bhautika srushti, there is nothing like bhautika, it is adi-bhutica. So that is a manifestation. That's how the things are manifesting. This is mountain, that is lake, this is river, that is ocean, this is planet, that is nebula, that is galaxy, and this is star. So that is manifestation. Adi-bhutic avishkar. But the constitution is adi-dahivat. The sangatanam, constitution is adi-dahivat. And the substrate is adhyatmic. Therefore, there is a beautiful concept, adhyatmic dharana, adi-dahivat sangatana, adi-bhutic avishkar. So this is how the threefold aspects of creation are accepted absolutely by the Shad Darshanas. They are classed as Astik Darshanas, and then some Darshanas are classed as Nastik Darshanas, Avaidik Darshanas, Vaidik Darshanas. So in Vaidika Darshana, Sankhya is Vaidik Darshana. They accept validity of Vedas and postulation of Vedas. They endorse with the Punarjanma, reincarnation. They also endorse with the concept of Adi-bhutic, Adi-dahivat, Adhyatmic aspects. So they cannot be really dubbed as atheistic philosophies. Anyway, let's try to spend a session on that aspect. Adi-bhutic avishkar, Adi-dahivat sangatanam, and Adhyatmic adhishthanam. And this is how the Prakriti has been admitted by Patanjalas and even Sankhyas. So let us consider that aspect, but in our next session. So enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.